So we have 5 galleries here. Gallery 1 is about the divine experience about Guru Sahib when he was born till the time he declared the proclamation. So the Gallery 1 talks about that, about his childhood. Gallery 2 talks about the transformative conversations which, when he was traveling. So those kind of conversations, those revolutionary talks that he had with the commoners, that he had with the religious leaders. So Gallery 2 has the content from there. Gallery 3 is the Sikh legacy. When the social order, after he traveled, what is all the things that he gathered. So the Gallery 3 talks about that. Gallery 4 talks about the revolution that continues. And Gallery 5 is the inscribed wisdom. Some of the shabads and verses from Guru Granth Sahib written by Guru Nanak Sahib.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Actually, we are supposed to focus on International Women's Day. I'll try to be somewhat relevant to that and be real about it rather than invoking only the historical realities. First thing is, I have my own habit. When I get up in the morning, I look at what am I being told. And this morning when I read the hukum of Harinder Sahib, Darbar Sahib, popularly known as Golden Temple, there was a very clear instruction there today. And it said Tanasri Mahalla Panjwa, which means it's in Rag Tanasri, and it's a Shabad of Guru Arjan Sahib. And then it had a direction, Yanadiye ke Kargavana. So Yanadiye got me curious. It comes from a word, Yanadiye, which actually is full of innocence. Yanada is not somebody who is ignorant. Yanada is somebody who is learning to become mature. And when it becomes Yanadiye, the Ada endings in the traditional Punjabi, old Punjabi, was when you are lovingly invoking someone. And it is feminine, which is also indicative that men with all their intellectual gymnastics will have to change their ways if they want to develop this love for us. And I am a man and I'm speaking from that perspective. And the direction after that was, because look, there are many seniors here, many people have done great jobs and they have been intercultors, they have done things for the Sikh community. But the relevancy today will be eventually, whose support am I really looking for? And that was the Shabad today. Main man teri take, mere pyare, main man teri take. So firstly, from a feminine perspective, in a loving, naive and innocent way, we were being told that the only support which matters is yours. Yours is a very personal pronoun. It's not a position like God or other elements we are used to these days. It's not positional at all, it's very personal. And it's saying, you are my beloved, you are the only one who is my support. So I start there. That's the direction to me today, that I better come up with some innocent way to talk, a loving way to talk, and a feminine way to talk. When you've heard Kirtan de Shruat hoi si, te ਉਹ ਦੋ ਲਾਈਨਾਂ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਦੀਆਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਹੀ footnote ਵਾਂਗੂ ਹੁਣ invoke ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ. Pardon my way of saying this. But ਉਹ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ powerful line as I understand actually is, ਭੰਡੋ ਹੋਵੇ ਦੋਸਤੀ, ਭੰਡੋ ਚੱਲੇ ਰਾਹ. ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜੋ ਮਰਜ਼ੀਆਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਮਾਰੀ ਜਾਓ, ਇਵੈਂਚੁਅਲੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੋਸਤੀ ਵੀ ਉਹਦੀ ਲੱਭਦੇ ਹੋ, ਬਟ ਜੇ ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਅਗਲੀ ਗੱਲ ਬਹੁਤ ਵੱਡੀ ਹੈ, ਭੰਡੋ ਚੱਲੇ ਰਾਹ. The way is paved for the future through her. ਹੁਣ ਇਹ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਕਿ dignity ਹੋਵੇ, respect ਹੋਵੇ, who will disagree? But look, we have 550 years of history. ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਨੇ ਤਾਂ ਐਲਾਨ ਕੀਤਾ ਸੀ ਨਾ 550 ਸਾਲ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ. The reality is our community actually built a very different reality on that. Historical reality of Sikhs was very different. That's why people liked us. But our last 70, 80 years of reality is also in front of us. This is called cognitive dissonance. कि ਅਸੀਂ खड़े किथे हैं तो बोल की रहे हैं. In fact, to all the women in the audience, I apologize that all the men were speaking. I am also here. एक बहुत बड़ा गैप है साडे सामने साडी reality दा. You know, they say the powerful idea is not the one you talk about. The most powerful idea is the one you think with, and we are not thinking with the idea. ਇੱਥੇ ਮੈਂ ਭਾਈ ਗੁਰਦਾਸ ਦੀ ਇੱਕ ਲਾਈਨ ਇਨਵੋਕ ਕਰਾਂਗਾ, which is how I titled my talk, ਕਿ ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ global analytics ਦੇ ਐਂਗਲ ਤੋਂ ਅੱਜ ਕੱਲ੍ਹ ਗੱਲ ਕਰੋਗੇ, because that's the phrase people use, and ਭਾਈ ਗੁਰਦਾਸ invokes from that angle, how do we locate in our paradigm who a woman is? Because remember, the reality of women was very different, and it remains different. You just have to watch the news of interiors and in your own homes also. ਸਾਰੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਰਿਸਪੈਕਟ ਕਰੋ, ਸਾਨੂੰ ਦਿਖਦਾ ਕਿੰਨੀ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਆ. So ਭਾਈ ਗੁਰਦਾਸ actually says, ਲੋਕ ਵੇਦ, lok is population, populace. Ved is literary knowledge, what we call intellectual capability now, capacities. Gun is virtues, gyan is wisdom. Lok ved gun gyan vich ardh sariri mokh dwari. This idea of mokh, Indology ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਹਿੰਦੁਸਤਾਨੀ ਪਰੰਪਰਾ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਇਹ ਮੋਕਸ਼ਾ ਨਾਲ ਜੁੜਿਆ ਹੋਇਆ. Globally you can say it's about emancipation. You can also say, if you are classically religious, that this is about ਕਿ ਮੁਕਤੀ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਲੈਣੀ ਆ. But eventually it's about freedom. There are different ideologies how you become free. Karl Marx ਦੀ ਆਪਣੀ ਆ, you know, Taoism ਦੀ ਆਪਣੀ ਆ, Vaishnavite tradition ਦੀ ਆਪਣੀ ਆ, ਤੇ ਸਿੱਖੀ ਦੀ ਆਪਣੀ ਆ. ਉਸ context ਵਿੱਚ ਭਾਈ ਗੁਰਦਾਸ is saying, she is not just equal, she is 50% of the world population, and she is the doorway to salvation. She is the doorway to freedom. ਘਰ 'ਚ ਹੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਫ੍ਰੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰ ਪਾ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ, ਆਪਣੀਆਂ ਸੰਸਥਾਵਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰ ਪਾ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ. ਸੋ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਸਾਡੇ ਮੇਰੇ ਵਰਗੇ ਜਦ ਹਾਈ ਸਕੂਲ 'ਚ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਸੀ, ਅਸੀਂ ਵੀ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਯਾਰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਿਹਦੀਆਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੋ. ਵੀ ਨੋ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਸਾਹਿਬ meant this. By the way, ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਸਾਡਾ ਇਹ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਬਣਦਾ, ਬੇਬੇ ਨਾਨਕੀ is brother. She came before him. It's the other way. ਜੇ ਬੇਬੇ ਨਾਨਕੀ ਦੇ ਐਂਗਲ ਤੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਨੂੰ ਨਹੀਂ ਦੇਖ ਪਾਏ ਨਾ, ਇਸੇ ਕਰਕੇ ਅਨਰਥ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ ਸਾਡਾ. ਨਾਨਕੀ was before Nanak. And Nanaki is related to maternity, maternal, ਜਿਹਨੂੰ ਆਪਾਂ ਪੇਕੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ, which means ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜਾ feminine angle ਹੈ ਨਾ, ਇਹ ਬਹੁਤ 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 ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਆ. ਤੇ ਅੱਜ ਕੱਲ੍ਹ ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ negate ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾ ਰਿਹਾ, because people like me are interpreting Sikhi and they are primarily men. They mean well, but they are not able to invoke that innocence, that love, which is asked us to get developed. So ਇਹਦੇ 'ਚ ਮੈਂ ਹੁਣ ਕੀ ਕਹਾਂ. ਪਹਿਲੀ ਗੱਲ ਤਾਂ divinity ਦੀ ਹੈਗੀ. I'll just break it down to 3 things. What is our conception of ਇੱਕੋ ਓਂਕਾਰ, the one? You know, most translations, ਕਥਾਕਾਰ ਇੰਗਲਿਸ਼ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਲਿਖਦੇ ਨੇ he, God, him, ਪਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੀ ਬਣਾ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ. Guru Nanak never used those words. He actually used the phrase ਇੱਕੋ ਓਂਕਾਰ. That's his declaration. ਇੱਕੋ ਓਂਕਾਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੋਈ gender ਨਹੀਂ. In fact, just to make sure nobody misinterprets him, he called the major attribute of ਇੱਕੋ ਓਂਕਾਰ Ajuni, the one who is beyond gender. And ਉਹਦੀ explanation Guru Granth Sahib ਵਿੱਚ ਬੜੀ ਤਗੜੀ ਹੈ. ਪੁਰਖ ਮੇ ਪੁਰਖ, ਨਾਰ ਮੇ ਨਾਰੀ, the men among men and the women among women. ਹੁਣ ਕੀ ਕਰੋਗੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ? So otherwise we think this idea of ਇੱਕੋ ਓਂਕਾਰ is very masculine, right? That's why men think they have all the answers. But in Sikh tradition, that's not the case. When we didn't act like that, we were very powerful. Now we act like that, that's why we are struggling. So in our habits, in our behaviors, that Ikko Onkar, although in our psyche we have this aspiration, but in our reality we are not living that. So just, and by the way, this idea is very, very important, because jad assi behaviorally change karna hunda cheezan nu, what matters is ki how much of that is understood, and then what percentage or what proportion of that is practice. Okay, Dr. I.J. Singh ne badiya kitaban likh rahe ne, unna di badi badhiya line hai, kehande there is a yawning gap between the precept and the practice. ਪ੍ਰੀਸੈਪਟ ਤਾਂ ਬੜਾ ਤਕੜਾ, ਉਹ ਤਾਂ 550 ਸਾਲ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਰੈਵੋਲੂਸ਼ਨਰੀ ਸੀ। ਸਰਦਾਰ ਤਲੋਚਨ ਸਿੰਘ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਪੂਰੀ ਠੀਕ ਆ। SGPC had actually instituted 1/3 women 100 years ago before there was a women's suffrage in America. But where are we now is the question. मैं ना थोड़ा जो Abraham Lincoln को ज़्यादा पसंद करना of the presidents in America, and he used to say this 150 years ago when there was a civil war, and Sikhs are going through their own civil war right now. That's why I'm invoking this. उन्होंने कहा कि don't brag about what your grandfather was up to. Worry about what your grandson is up to. मैनू पुरानियां रोटियां ना सेक के गल्लां करो, वो बहुत हो गई। आ देखो अगे किथे जा रहे हैं। And Gurbani says that agahoं ko trang. Let's look ahead. So the divinity what I was focusing on was that we believe in Ikko Onkar. Ikko Onkar is beyond gender. It cannot be gendered because it's Ajuni. It's beyond the gendering, beyond taking form of man or a woman. A बहुत important precept है। Now second girl, and by the way this precept was understood by most authors, but in the language we mess it up sometimes, and the language matters because साडा thought process उत्थे खड़ा होया। Second girl, religion as a problem. Yes, it is a problem. सारे तो ठेकेदार बने हुए हैं धर्म दे, ते mostly मंदे ने, and it's not just here. Politicians are the same way, including in America. उत्थे the Republican Congress had a debate on women health with not a single speaker who was a woman. It's a global problem. It's not an Indic problem or a Western problem. It's a men problem. President Carter ने ना World Parliament religion च खड़ के ये गल कही सी, and I'm invoking President Carter because he is one of the cleanest presidents we have ever had. That's probably the reason why he couldn't become a second-term president, because you have to be different kind of a person to keep winning. In fact, I'll read his line. He wrote this, and he actually said this at the World Parliament of Religion in 2009. He said, women are prevented from playing a full and equal role in many faiths, creating an environment in which violations against women are justified. And you'll see this all over the world. And he builds on it. The belief that women are inferior human beings in the eyes of God gives excuses to the brutal husband who beats his wife, the soldier who rapes a woman, the employer who has a lower pay scale for women, or parents who decide to abort a female embryo. ये आज दी reality साडी भी यही है। किते ना किते साडे दिमाग विच conception of Ikko Onkar is not clear. So in this reality, what do? Well, is this reality history? This सिर्फ मैं इन्हीं की गल करांगा. You are all aware of it. If I look at the directives of the Guru Sahibs from 1469 to 1708, it's a training of roughly 239 years. ਤੁਸੀਂ ਅੰਦਾਜ਼ਾ ਲਾਓ ਇੰਨੀ ਲੰਬੀ ਟ੍ਰੇਨਿੰਗ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਨੇ ਇੱਥੇ ਧਰਤੀ ਤੇ। ਤੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਟ੍ਰੇਨਿੰਗ ਕਿਉਂ ਇੰਪੋਰਟੈਂਟ ਆ? ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਬਿਹੇਵੀਅਰ ਚੇਂਜ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਗੈਰ। ਡੈਕਲੇਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਤਾਂ ਹੋ ਗਈ ਸੀ 1469। They had to make it a mandate. Guru Amardas made it a mandate that 4 of the 22 emissaries, today we call them ambassadors, 22 manjiyan they had women sige, including the head of Kabul was a woman. You know what happens in Kabul even today. ਇਹ ਹੁੰਦਾ mandate. Mandate is that we have changed the policy. We are going to practice this. Doesn't matter what the popular opinion is. ਸਾਡੇ ਹੁਣ mandate ਘਟੇ ਹੋਏ ਨੇ ਪਿਛਲੇ 20-25 ਸਾਲਾਂ ਦੇ. I in fact have said to most people who invite me to speak and I don't go, I said if you have more than 2 speakers and one of them is not a woman, don't invite me. ਮੈਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਨਾ ਕਹੋ ਕਿ ਲੱਭਦੀਆਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਈਆਂ, ਮੈਂ ਕਿਹਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ facilitate ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਦੇ. We have taken our mandates out. 100 years ago we were progressive. You know, Maharaja Ranjit Singh, the great granddaughter, she came back to Punjab, she got inspired, she went back to London and she created a women's suffrage movement. Sophia Dalip Singh ਉਹਦਾ ਨਾਂ। ਸਾਡੇ ਤਾਂ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਬਾਹਰੋਂ ਆ ਕੇ ਇੰਸਪਾਇਰ ਹੋ ਕੇ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਸੀ ਇੰਨੇ, ਤੇ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸੋ ਕਾਲਡ ਐਡਵਾਂਸ ਵੈਸਟਰਨ ਕਲਚਰ ਸੀ ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ women ਦੀ ਇਸ ਲੈਵਲ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਦੇ ਸੀ। 100 years ago it happened. Today it's a big struggle, and Gurus really, it's very true. Yes, they opposed the low status of women, but they didn't just oppose it, they made them equal partners. That equal partnering is very, very important. Equality is an idea, equity is a mandate. ਨਾਲ ਖੜਾ ਕਰੋ ਨਾ, ਕਮਾਂਡ ਵੀ ਦਿਓ। ਜੇ ਮਰਾਠਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਸਾਡੀ ਬੀਬੀ ਹਰਾ ਸਕਦੀ ਹੈ, because they were considered the best warriors from Patiala, literally her brother didn't even come to help, she fought herself and defeated the best of the warriors of India. ਸਾਡੀ ਹਿਸਟਰੀ ਹੈ ਕਿਉਂ? ਬਿਕੋਜ਼ ਸ਼ੀ ਵਾਜ਼ ਡਰਿਵਨ ਬਾਈ ਦੀ ਆਈਡੀਆ ਐਂਡ ਦੈਨ ਸਮ ਸਿੱਖਸ ਹੈਲਪਡ her. So we need equal partners. We don't need equal statements. Statements are don't mean anything anymore. ਜੇ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੇ ਪੁੱਛਣਾ ਹੋਵੇ ਨਾ, ਮੈਂ ਪੁੱਛਣਾ ਹੋਵੇ, ਮੈਂ ਆਪਣੀ ਵਾਈਫ ਨੂੰ ਪੁੱਛਾਂ ਤੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਪੁੱਛਾਂ, they'll tell me how much of hypocrite I am. If you ask people ਜਿਹੜੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਚਾਪਲੂਸੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ ਉਹ ਥੋੜੀ ਦੱਸਣਗੇ. So we have to go to that level if we are serious about the International Women's Day. ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਥੀਮ ਕੀ ਹੈ ਇਸ ਸਾਲ ਦਾ? Break the bias. I mean, I'll be the first one to apologize to all of you, and to all the women I want to acknowledge who have played a role in my life, who are helping me break my micro biases. ਸਾਡੇ ਬੋਲਣ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਸਾਡੇ ਬੋਡੀ ਲੈਂਗੁਏਜ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਸਾਡੇ ਚਾਲ ਚਲਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਬੜੀਆਂ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮਸ ਨੇ। ਇਹ ਬੋਲ ਕੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਹੁੰਦੀਆਂ। ਅੱਜ ਵੀ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਕਲਚਰ ਤੇ ਹਿੰਦੁਸਤਾਨੀ ਕਲਚਰ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਕਿ ਕੁੜੀ ਦੇ ਘਰ ਦਾ ਪਾਣੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਪੀਦਾ। ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਸਾਹਿਬ 7 ਮਹੀਨੇ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਆਪਣੀ ਭੈਣ ਦੇ ਘਰ ਰਹੇ ਸੀਗੇ ਸੁਲਤਾਨਪੁਰ ਸੋਢੀ। This is the mandate. He did not care about popular culture ਕੀ ਹੈ, because he is clear how to practice ਇੱਕ ਓਂਕਾਰ। ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਮੈਂਡੇਟ ਟੁੱਟਦੇ ਨੇ। ਸੋ ਅਖੀਰਲੇ 7 ਮਿੰਟਾਂ 'ਚ ਸਾਡੀ I want to invoke the best feminist Sikh author I am aware of. Her name is Nikki Guninder Kaur Singh. ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ PhD ਸੀਗੀ The Feminine Principle in the SikhRI of the Transcendent. In another place she has written कि women ਕੀ ਕਰਨ? I dare not tell any woman what to do. I will never be able to understand all your pains. You are carrying so many pains. So the best I can do is Gurbani cho idea मैं share ਕੀਤਾ, and then the best leading feminist तो मैं ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਦੱਸ ਰਿਹਾ ਉਹ ਕੀ ਕਹਿ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਕਰਨ ਲਈ। She says, change your worship. Don't follow what you've been told about worshipping. मतलब जो ਪਾਠ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੋ ਨਾ, ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਰੱਬ ਨਾਲ ਜੁੜਨਾ, change it. Follow Gurbani, don't follow any man. Because they are changing it, they are gendering it. Second, she says, read on your own the text. मैं उन्हें interpret करता हूँ क्योंकि ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੇਖੋਗੇ private life ਵਿੱਚ women are more spiritual, but public life ਵਿੱਚ ਫਿਰ ਬੰਦੇ ਇਕੱਠੇ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਨੇ photo op ਲਈ। ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰੇ 'ਚ ਵੀ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਆ ਨਾ ਇਹੀ। So let's be real about it. So read your own text. ਪਾਠ ਕਰਨਾ ਆਪਣੇ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਨਾਲ ਕਰੋ, ਕੋਈ ਪਰਵਾਹ ਨਾ ਕਰੋ। ਜਿਹੜੀ ਪ੍ਰੀਤ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੰਮ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਨਾ, ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ 'ਚ ਆ ਗਿਆ, ਜੇ ਬਾਹਰੋਂ ਭੁੱਲ ਚੁੱਕ ਬੋਲਦੇ ਈ ਖਰੇ ਹਰ ਭਾਣੇ। ਕੋਈ ਫਰਕ ਨਹੀਂ ਜੇ ਮਿਸਪ੍ਰੋਨਾਂਸੀਏਸ਼ਨ ਥੋੜੀ ਜਿਹੀ ਹੋ ਗਈ, ਮਾਫੀ ਮੰਗ ਲਾਂਗੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਿੱਖ ਪਾਏ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਸਿਖਾਉਣ ਵਾਲਿਆਂ ਨੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਅਜੇ ਰੱਖਿਆ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਨਾਲ। ਸਵੀਚਾਂ 'ਚ ਰੱਖ ਲਿਆ ਮੇਰੇ ਵਰਗਿਆਂ ਨੇ, ਬਟ ਐਜ਼ ਇਕੁਅਲ ਪਾਰਟਨਰਸ ਜਿਹਨੂੰ ਕਹੀਦਾ। ਤੀਸਰੀ ਸੀ, she says, create new translations. Every English translation is written by a man. Every Punjabi interpretation is written by a man. As best as they might be, as great of the work they are, they're incomplete. Because 100%, without an exception, voice of Guru Granth Sahib is feminine. 100%. ਪੂਰੀ ਬਾਣੀ ਦੀ voice feminine ਆ। ਤੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਸ ਫੈਮਿਨਿਟੀ ਨੂੰ, ਮੇਰੇ ਵਰਗੀ ਤਾਂ ਕੈਪੈਸਿਟੀ ਹੈ ਨਹੀਂ, ਮੈਂ ਤਾਂ ਜੇ ਜਾਣੜੀਏ ਬਣਨ ਲਈ ਤਿਆਰ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਇਆ, ਕਿੱਥੋਂ ਮੈਂ ਦੱਸ ਲਾਂਗਾ ਬਾਣੀ ਦਾ ਮੈਸੇਜ ਪ੍ਰੋਪਰਲੀ। I've taken out that longing, that tadap, that birha, which we have stereotyped to be a feminine thing, but Guru Sahib are identifying. ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਪੁਰਖ ਇਸ ਜਗਤ 'ਚ ਇੱਕੋ ਹੀ ਆ, ਬਾਕੀ ਸਭ ਅਸੀਂ ਨਾਰਾ ਹੀ ਆ। It's disrupting this hegemony of patriarchal culture. And Guru Nanak Sahib did it very beautifully and very creatively. ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਗਾ ਕੇ ਕਰਵਾਇਆ ਸੀ। So एक patriarchy ਨੂੰ ਤੋੜਨ ਲਈ ਚੌਥੀ she says, change the rites of passage. How come all the ceremonies are focused on young boys? ਦੇਖੋ ਆਈਡੈਂਟਿਟੀ ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਰੌਲਾ ਬਹੁਤ ਪੈਂਦਾ। Any sociologist will tell you, identity formation ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ। ਸੋ ਅਸੀਂ ਤਾਂ ਤਵੱਜੋ ਨਹੀਂ ਦੇ ਰਹੇ ਆਪਣੀ women ਦੀ identity formation ਦੀ। ਅਸੀਂ ਉੱਦਾਂ ਹੀ ਕਹਿ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਇਹਨੇ ਸਿਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਢੱਕਿਆ, ਉਹਨੇ ਇਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੀਤਾ। ਇਹ ਕੋਈ ਗੱਲ? I mean, why are we policing? We should be focused on identity formation. So she is saying that rites of passage for women must be developed by them, because we as community have failed in that. That's fourth suggestion. And our fifth suggestion is recognize refeminization. Feminism word to ਭੱਜਿਓ ਨਾ, ਇਹ ਬੜਾ misunderstood word ਆ। Feminism ਦਾ ਮਤਲਬ ਉਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਜੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਬਣਾਤਾ ਕਿ ਕੋਈ ਐਂਟੀ ਮੈਨ ਹੈਗਾ, ਇਦਾਂ ਦਾ ਕੁਝ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗਾ। ਪ੍ਰੋਫੈਸਰ ਪੂਰਨ ਸਿੰਘ ਨੇ ਇੱਥਾਂ ਲਿਖਦਾ, and I should read his quote, and I will tell you, in fact I'll invoke it here. He says, her nobleness in Guru Granth Sahib is infinite, her freedom is of the highest. And I'm going to continue, both man and woman as sexes are forgotten in her voice. feminine voice which we will be able to transcend gender. Masculine voice is not able to do it. We have so many years of history in front of us, or behind us rather. And the fifth thing she mentions is, I already mentioned the fifth, that reorganize or recognize the refeminization, which means don't wait on men to do it for us. You'll do it. It's like Bibi Balbir Kaur 100 years ago. All the jathas are going to free the gurdwaras, and the jathedar says, you have a young child, you will not be able to take it. She's like, I took the same Amrit. I think I can take it. And she did. But you will rarely hear about her. She's a footnote in Sikh history. Similarly, Gulab Kaur. You know, everyone talks about all the revolutionaries fighting the British, but people have forgotten her. She's the one who printed so-called the seditious literature against the British government from Singapore. So her story is not being told. History is already his story. Her story will only come when you will start telling it. Because men, even if they are just trying to do it in best intentions, have miserably failed at it. So now I come to the end. This is my understanding. Sikh women role, there is no Sikh women role in Guru Granth Sahib. There is no such thing. We have a Sikh, which is gender neutral. We have a Khalsa, which is also gender neutral. ये दोनों word masculinized कर देते गए ने, as even words they are not like that. So firstly, जब कोई मैंने पूछता ना कि सिख बीबी का की रोल है, मैं कह हाँ, सिख कदे ये तो कदे पूछा नहीं सिख बंदे का की रोल है, सिख का की रोल है. यह आचारा SikhRI, साड़ी संस्था भी ना है तो गुरबाणी च भी वर्ड है कि ये तो बिहेवियर सीखण लई कहा गया. बिहेवियर तो दोनों को सीखने पैणगे. डोंट असੂਮ कि मैनू पता मैं की करना. Second thing I would say is that independent relationship रखो डिवाइन दे नाल, इक्को ओंकार दे नाल. ਜਿਹੜੇ ਲਵਰਸ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ ਨਾ, ਉਹ ਇਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਪੁੱਛਦੇ ਕਿ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਪਿਆਰ ਕਰਾਂ. ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਨੇ ਇਹ ਲਿਖਿਆ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਹੀ ਬੈਸਟ ਮੰਗ ਸਕਦੇ ਆ. ਆਸਾ ਕੀ ਵਾਰ ਕੀ ਆ ਕਿ ਦੇ ਡੋਂਟ ਕੈਲਕੂਲੇਟ, ਦੇ ਡੋਂਟ ਆਸਕ, ਦੇ ਜਸਟ ਡੂ ਇਟ. ਇਹ ਕਿਨੇ ਹੀ ਆਸ਼ਕ ਇਹ ਨਾ ਆਖੀਏ ਜੇ ਲਿਖਿਆ ਵਰਤੇ ਸੋਏ, ਚੰਗਾ ਚੰਗਾ ਕਰ ਮੰਨੈ, ਮੰਦਾ ਮੰਦਾ ਹੋਏ. Those who count the positives and the negatives, they will never become the lovers. And most men are calculative. So that tells you कि lover बनना कितना औखा हो रहा उन्हां नूं. And मैं जान के ये कह रहा, I have no shame in saying this. This is the reality we are in. वो कहने ने आशक ये ना आखिए, they cannot be labeled as lovers. This is not my word. This is Asagi Var. This is Guru's word. Because they are caught up in calculation. Je likhe varte soe. Calculativeness will not be able to help us become young adiye. Gurbani ਵਿੱਚ ਜਦ friendship ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਆ ਨਾ, ਸਾਰੇ feminine word ਨੇ. जब रब ਲਈ आया फिर यार आ गया. जब आपस में गल करनी as human beings, सहेली, महेली, सखी, only in a feminine way we'll be able to do and create that relationship. So what can you do? I'm going to end it with that. I just have two suggestions. Firstly, for all the human beings in this population who are commoners. कई बार मैंने कहा तुसी प्रैक्टिकल गल नहीं कोई करते, मैं कहा ठीक है आज कर देना थोड़ी जी और प्रैक्टिकल. पहली प्रैक्टिकल गल जिहड़ी सारे कर सकते हैं, in your circle of influence, how are you going to break the bias? Come up with 3 things and start doing it. ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਸਰਕਲ, ਆਪਣੇ ਘਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਆਪਣੀ ਸੰਸਥਾ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਕਰੋਗੇ? That's the thing. ਕਿਵੇਂ break ਕਰੋਗੇ? Bias ਬੜੀ ਹੈ. If anyone has to say I'm not a racist or I'm not a sexist, you know what that means? You are. Other people can, when they say कि ਤੁਸੀਂ sexist ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋ, ਫੇਰ ਗੱਲ ਬਣੂਗੀ. ਮੈਂ ਇੱਥੇ ਖੜ ਕੇ ਕਹਾਂ ਮੈਂ gentleman ਹਾਂ, ਇਹ ਕੋਈ ਗੱਲ ਹੋਈ? Other people have to tell me that based on my behavior. So all of you, ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਮੇਰੀ ਬੇਨਤੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਹ ਸੋਚੋ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਬਾਇਸ ਬ੍ਰੇਕ ਕਰਦੀ ਹਾਂ ਟੁਵਰਡਸ ਵੈਮਨ. ਤੇ ਅਜੇ ਮੈਂ ਇਹਦੇ 'ਚ ਕੈਸਟ ਫੈਕਟਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਲਿਆਇਆ. ਦਲਿਤ ਵੈਮਨ ਦਾ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਵਾਂਗ ਕਿਤੇ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਮਾੜਾ ਹਾਲ ਚੱਲ ਰਿਹਾ ਇਨ ਦਿਸ ਕੰਟਰੀ. ਸੋ ਆਪਣੇ ਸਰਕਲ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਆਪਣੇ ਸਪਾਊਸ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ, ਆਪਣੀ ਪਾਰਟਨਰ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ, ਆਪਣੀ ਡਾਟਰ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ, ਆਪਣੀ ਡਾਟਰ ਇਨ ਦਾ ਨਾਲ, ਆਪਣੀ ਨੋਹ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ, ਆਪਣੀ ਸੱਸ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ, ਐਂਡ ਆਲ ਦ ਮੇਲ ਕਾਊਂਟਰ ਪਾਰਟਸ. Figure out how do I break that bias. Come up with 3 things. अगले 6 महीने उन्होंने करने की कोशिश करो, because psychologists say कि एक छोटी आदत बदलनी हो ना घट तो घट 6 महीने लग जाते हैं if you work on it every day. So जे नहीं करोगे रोज फिर कुछ नहीं चेंज होगा. तो चेंज घट ही करते हैं जिहड़े करते हैं, वो गुरु नानक के सिस्टम ते बेबे नानकी के सिस्टम में एंटर कर रहे. So second suggestion I have is at the organizational level, because we are in a school. Thank you for hosting us. Appreciate it. I'm glad that you were here and and Anika was here, and also announce kar rahe si, MC kar rahe si, those were the only 3 women here. And I was looking at it, front te bhi ek do hun baithe ne, thank you. Not that ki main tonu kuch insulting gal nahi kar raha, but this is what the world is looking at. When I look at country reports from State Department, this is what they're looking at. They're not looking at what I've said. They're looking at ki mandate ki banaya hoya Sikhan da is wele. You know, ek adda karke gal nahi ban rahi. 1/3 ਦਾ ਅਸੀਂ 100 ਸਾਲ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਕਰ ਲਿਆ ਸੀ, 1/5 ਅਸੀਂ 300 ਸਾਲ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਕਰ ਲਿਆ ਸੀ, ਹੁਣ 51 ਤੇ ਤਾਂ ਆ ਜਾਓ। ਇਹ ਆ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰੈਸ। ਰਾਈਟ ਨਾਓ ਵੀ ਹੈਵ ਰਿਗਰੈਸਡ, ਵੀ ਹੈਵ ਐਕਚੁਅਲੀ ਗੋਨ ਬੈਕਵਰਡਸ। ਜਿਹੜੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਇਸ ਵੇਲੇ ਇਲੀਗਲ ਆ, ਜੋ ਤੁਸੀਂ 10 ਸਾਲਾਂ 'ਚ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਲੀਗਲ ਕਰਾ ਲਓਗੇ ਨਾ, that will be success. When it was illegal for women to vote, we did it. When it was illegal for women to become an ambassador, we did it. ਸਾਨੂੰ ਐ ਸੋਚਣਾ ਪੈਣਾ। That's the mandating of it. So thank you for hosting. Hopefully I have not upsetted anyone. My apologies if I'm being a little bit harsh to men. It is intentional. We do need to take a little bit of a back seat. I need to take more of a back seat. And I'm again thankful to all the women in my life who are setting me right and always telling me, and I'm still remain open. Even the ones who don't know me, sometimes I get texts on an email that I read your blog, everything is great, but a phrase aje puri theek nahi si, you did not include these kind of women. I said, you're absolutely right. I have to remain completely inclusive. Kise nu bhi bahar nahi kadya ja sakda, kyunki ikko ankar da hissa nahi rahooga fir. So to the school, to all the seniors here and all the leadership, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੀ ਆਰਗੇਨਾਈਜੇਸ਼ਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਮੈਂਡੇਟ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਓ। ਤੇ ਮੈਂਡੇਟ 1, 2, 5, 10% ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦਾ। ਮੈਂਡੇਟ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਸੀ ਚੇਂਜ ਕ੍ਰੀਏਟ ਕਰਨਾ। ਮੈਂਡੇਟ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਕਿ ਮੈਜੋਰਿਟੀ ਵੱਲ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਜਾਣਾ, ਉਧਰ ਵੱਲ ਧੱਕਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਲਾਣਾ, ਗਵਰਨੈਂਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਓ। That will be a great way to sort of commemorate International Women's Day with the theme of breaking the bias and acknowledging Guru Nanak Sahib, not to worship him, but to follow his ideas. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
The kind of talks that happened here, the revelations and the explosion of ideas, the explosion of truths that came out here through Harinder Ji's talk, I am in a state of ecstasy, and I want all of you to experience the power that a woman has. The idea for the world to bring this behavior change, to bring the equality, is to see from a very feminist, innocent, loving way that only a woman can teach.
The exhibition on Guru Nanak Sahib Ji being forecasted over here, the casteism of Guru Nanak's teachings and verbs talking about the woman is really empowering and motivating the woman. But to our demise, even in the word woman itself, the word men is there. So we have to understand that it is the woman's womb where the men comes. So basically that respect has to be given to a woman on a whole to understand the very much creation and the concept of man.
ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਦੇਵ ਜੀ ਦੇ ਨਜ਼ਰਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਇੱਕ ਫੀਮੇਲ ਦਾ ਦਰਜਾ ਬਹੁਤ ਉੱਚਾ ਮੰਨਿਆ ਗਿਆ ਹੈ। ਇਸ ਐਗਜ਼ੀਬਿਸ਼ਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਬਹੁਤ ਕੁਝ ਲਰਨਿੰਗ ਮਿਲੀ। ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਦੇਵ ਜੀ ਦੀ ਛੋਟੀ ਬਚਪਨ ਤੋਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੋਈ ਸਾਰੀ ਇਬਾਦਤਾਂ ਦੀ ਪੂਰੀ ਡਿਟੇਲ ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਮੈਂਸ਼ਨ ਹੈ।
Sardar Harinder Singh Ji was a great inspiration for all of us on this Women's Day. I had a great learning from him, especially for my children. I have 2 daughters, and now I know what I have to teach them about SikhRI. Our Sikhism is not only a male-oriented religion, yes, it gives equal importance to both men and women.
For me also today, the meaning of Ekankar has changed. I am feeling very enlightened and very blessed to know the exact meaning and the new meaning of Bani.
ਹਰੇਕ ਲੇਡੀਜ਼ ਨੂੰ ਆਪਣੇ ਲਈ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਆਪਣੇ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਲਈ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਵਾ, ਕਦੇ ਵੀ ਕਿਸੇ ਤੋਂ ਡਰਨਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ।
Today, after attending the session, my takeaway is that breaking the bias, I actually go for it because I believe of the woman, by the woman, for the women, and that is the woman power.
So today I attended this beautiful event hosted by VOYCE, and VG has given us such a beautiful perspective towards feminism, how feminism is so important in Gurbani.
So kyo manda akhiye jit jamme rajan. You cannot blame a woman, you cannot underestimate or blame her or think lowly of her, of a person who gave birth to the kings.
I dealt with cancer last year and I lost my hair during the treatment. मेरे hair हैं या नहीं हैं, या फिर मैं अपना body से उतना strength है या नहीं है, मैं उतना काम नहीं कर पा रही हूँ. Even then, I am beautiful and I am empowered.
We are living in a world where there's so many things that we are doing, but we are not even aware of it. We're doing it so subconsciously. Guru Nanak Sahib, more than 500 years ago, gave his affirmation, and there was a proclamation and declaration, you know, about women such a long time ago, and today we're still deliberating on it. Some of the takeaways for me from the talk was that what are the biases that we are carrying, you know, even today. The theme for this year is breaking the biases. So it's time that we have our own reflections on what are the biases that we are carrying and see how we can break those biases. Harinder Singh in his talk said that identify 3 biases and see how you can break those biases in the next 6 months to break any habit. That's how long it takes to do that. And in our organizations also, to see that what can be our mandates. You know, it's easy to say that we are talking about women having a voice, but are we creating structures and platforms for those voices to be heard is the important question. We also inaugurated this exhibition, Guru Nanak Sahib, Oneness to One Identity. The content partner for this exhibition is the Sikh Research Institute, and VOYCE is the production partner. And Guru Nanak Public School, Punjabi Bagh has been very kind in exhibiting you know, this wonderful work here in the school permanently for more people to have access to this content. And in Gallery 4, you know, that we have here, which is talking about how the revolution began, there are 2 very important panels on women. And I'd like everybody to look at those panels and read the content, absorb it, soak it in, reflect on it.
There couldn't have been a better celebration of Women's Day. The insights that we got into Gurbani through Mr. Harinder Singh ji and what feminism actually means, I think there couldn't have been a better portrayal of that. I am so glad that we were able to showcase the exhibits on Guru Nanak Dev Ji on this auspicious day. And I hope and I believe that every good thing has to have a new beginning. And let us hope and believe that today is the new beginning for all the women here. I congratulate Anika and kudos to her for her efforts to be here with us, to help us at every juncture. I'm very grateful to Mrs. Neelu Khurana for being here as a big support to us and the entire team of VOYCE. I also congratulate the team of Guru Nanak Public School, Punjabi Bagh, who tirelessly worked to make this event a great success. All women, celebrate your liberty, celebrate your freedom, and celebrate your womanhood.